What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the Ruth and Eric channel. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Ruth and I have founded a business in 2018 with my brother. We started a small startup, a Shopify app development business. We created 5 apps up until now, 4 actually, and one of them we purchased. And the biggest one is called ReConvert. We launched that in the end of 2018 and we completely bootstrapped it. We didn't take any kind of investment and managed to grow it to over 37,000 active merchants using it right now in 2022, as well as getting to over 2 million ARR. So if you're interested in how we did this and how you can do it yourself, this is what this video is all about. It's not very scripted. I have a few points that I wrote down to myself to try to keep it organized, but basically I'll just give you the gists of what we did and how we managed to create an over 2 million ARR business completely bootstrapped. Let's start. My love for coffee knows no boundaries. By the way, if you were wondering, this is the logo of the business. It's full of coffee, so I need to be careful. We changed the color recently, but you know, it's still this. Just a little darker green, that's it. So we talk a lot about bootstrapping in this channel, but sometimes we take it to the more advanced steps and we don't really talk about basic stuff and what allowed us to actually bootstrap the business rather than take an investment. And I don't think there's anything inherently wrong in raising capital and having investors in your business. It is a decision that needs to come based on your business needs and not just like vanity needs. You know, I want to say I'm a unicorn, I want to say I raised Series A, B, etc. But also it needs to be a lifestyle choice. When you raise capital for your business, you actually bring in new people, new managers who you have to answer to. And we didn't want that. We really wanted to build something slowly from the ground up in a way that keeps 100% of the control in our hands. And we always knew that if we need to, we would take loans. We actually took loans. We'll talk about it in a second. We would raise capital, whatever we need to do. But the way that we built the business made sure that we don't have to raise any capital. The first point is that when you build a business, let's call it a startup because we're talking about software here, about SaaS. You need to build a SaaS that can be built as something bootstrapped, that doesn't need a lot of really expensive resources to actually be built from the ground up. And the way that we decided to do that is by building a micro SaaS. We built a micro SaaS on top of Shopify. So this is a Shopify app where Shopify stores can actually install it on their store and use it and pay us through Shopify. We have since launched on other platforms like WordPress and Wix and are looking to launch on more platforms, but the point is not Shopify. I'm not here to talk about how to do a Shopify app. I'm here to talk about how to bootstrap your SaaS. And one of the best things to do is use the micro SaaS model to actually ride on top of a bigger player in your field so that you can get customer acquisition to be so much easier, because now you are getting customers from this app store, from this marketplace. It is also easier because micro SaaS, they tend to require a smaller base of code. Like you can launch much quicker when you do a micro SaaS rather than a completely standalone SaaS. And I would say the sweet spot would be to create something that starts out as a micro SaaS. You launch it as a micro SaaS, but it's very easy to kind of just switch around and actually use that as a standalone. And then you can enjoy both worlds, the stability of a standalone as well as the easiness of a micro SaaS. So let's say you want to do a micro SaaS. How do you decide which platform to build on top of? This is the second point, which is to know the platform and the niche really, really well. You want to be as efficient as possible. To be efficient, you need to know who your customers are, you need to know what they want, and actually be able to answer these needs without too much trial and error. And the way we did that is by knowing Shopify really well. We were both merchants. Eric, my brother, was actually a Shopify Plus merchant and had a lot of experience building Shopify stores and managing them, and he really knew what Shopify stores needed. I had a smaller Shopify store. It wasn't as complex, so I didn't know the niche as well as he did, but I did know the platform really well. I've been working with Shopify for over a year and I knew the pain points of beginning merchants. So we had the spectrum of like a Shopify Plus and a beginner merchant basically. So if you are in this spot, try to think about what are my hobbies, what are things that I do, and what are things that I can benefit from and other people in my niche can benefit from. For example, if you love video games and you use Twitch a lot, is there anything you can build on top of that that would be kind of a complementary service? Or if you're a designer who uses Figma all the time, Figma also has a plugin store. What are you missing? What do you need? Think about these things. It doesn't have to be groundbreaking, it just needs to be useful and solve a problem. So we've established what to develop. Now let's talk about how to develop develop it without raising capital. So the first thing we did that we really knew we would do is work with freelancers. We decided to build a Shopify app. We knew what it was. We wrote the specification, sat down, did the specification. Let's say we took about a week to complete it. And then we decided, okay, let's find a developer to get this done. Because both me and Eric are not developers. We never were. So we needed to find developers to actually execute the plan that we had. We went to Upwork and Fiverr and we found developers. We found freelancers for a really cheap price. We actually started off with $9 an hour with our developers. Eventually we got to much higher rates with the same developers because the idea was we're building something together. They helped us by lowering their prices a little bit in the beginning, and then as we needed them more and as we had more money to give them, they could raise the prices also as they improved with us. Honestly, we made a lot of mistakes in our choice of people in the beginning, not because the developers were bad, but we had a lot of blind spots. We made a lot of mistakes. If you want me to do a video talking about the mistakes that we made hiring, and specifically hiring developers, and how we are fixing them now and what I would do differently if I could go back in time, let me know in the comments. We will definitely make a video like this. I have a lot to say about this. But we managed to find really cheap developers, and the thing with freelancers is it's more flexible. You are not now committing to a paycheck to an employee where you would have a much more difficult time letting them go if you need to. Not that it's not possible, but it's more difficult emotionally, legally, all the stuff. B, you can work with people for lower rates than in a lot of countries. Like in Israel, where we are based, salaries are really inflated. Like it's really tough to find good developers for, a normal salary. You have to pay a lot. That's the market. That's what people expect. But when I work with people from countries where cost of living is lower, then they can get paid less and it's still a lot for them. It still allows them good quality of life. So it's kind of a win-win situation where you as a company, as someone starting out that doesn't have a lot of money, can lower prices and they can get in dollars from outside and actually live in a higher quality life where they live. Okay, next step was to build an MVP. An MVP is a minimum viable product. You will notice that we didn't do any kind of validation. We did some idea validation by being merchants ourselves, and we have videos talking about this, but we have this table of ideas and how we validate them, how we score each idea and try to figure out which one has the best potential. And we did do that, but we didn't do any kind of talking to potential customers and trying to figure out what they want and doing any kind of pre-sign up. We didn't do any of these things. Would I do it in hindsight? I think for anything new that I create, I would probably go for a validation process. We were our own customers, basically. We're still so close to the niche that it wasn't as necessary. So take that into account. We didn't do any kind of validation. So we started development. We created a really lean MVP with like a few main features because we just didn't have the money. Okay, so let's say, I think we had about 20K back then. We actually took a loan from the bank, each one of us, from the bank, from the credit card company. Like if this didn't work out, we would have needed to pay a lot of money. It wasn't like $100,000, okay? It was more like 30,000. It's something that you can kind of overcome. We didn't dig too much of a deep hole for ourselves. That's what I'm trying to say. But we did take a loan, and let's say we had about $20,000 and development for the entire thing was 40. So we took off a lot of features and we did a basic development with 20K. So development took about 2 months, and honestly, we made a lot of mistakes there too, because what we thought was a lean MVP was a really huge inflated product with some features that even today hardly any customer uses. While the most important features that are like the upselling, the bread and butter of the app, did not exist in the initial version. So we made a lot of mistakes, but it still worked. We still managed to launch it and get a lot of traction from day one. I just want to say we also had a lot of bugs that we weren't even aware of. A lot of our first customers were kind of on live chat with us, letting us know what they were finding and us trying to take care of it as fast as possible. But it was really interesting. It was a process. It was a process. So we launched the MVP, like I said, after 2 months, really quickly. And then we got really lucky, not gonna lie. I mean, it was a combination of luck and good strategy because we found a space in the Shopify App Store that was almost blank. I think there were like 1 or 2 apps that did something in this space. Now there's plenty in the thank you page. And we saw potential and we decided to just do a better job than them, which makes sense because these were apps that were like not the main business of the companies that developed them. So we decided to make this our main business. And this is a really good way to find opportunities, to say like, oh, is this a side hustle that this company is doing and they're doing like a mediocre job? Let me go in and make this my main business and do a really good job. So that's what we did with the thank you page. And because of that, we got a lot of traction really fast. Apparently it was something people were looking for. We're having a lot of pain points with. And Shopify also noticed us. We got on their radar really fast and they put us in the staff picks. It doesn't really exist anymore, but there used to be like 4 apps featured every week. And we got there and we got like 100 installs a day, which is a lot when you're first starting out. Like we were getting maybe 1 or 2 installs a day and suddenly it jumped to 100. So that gave us a great head start. It wasn't the end all be all, it was just a good quick push. I think another thing you can do is launch on things like Product Hunt, AppSumo, launch on these kind of platforms and do a lot of marketing for yourself. That's something that we didn't do, but we did launch on Shopify and share that across Facebook groups, mostly Facebook groups, honestly, but anywhere we could. So this is the story of how we bootstrapped the business, how we could afford to, how we saved money and launched quickly. But then what did we do to actually grow? Let's start with what we focused on in the beginning. In the very beginning, we focused on a few really important things. First of all, we launched it as a freemium product. It has its advantages and disadvantages, but the main reason was because freemium allowed us to get a lot of traction from the Shopify App Store and rank much faster. The fact that we got a lot of installs from free customers might not have created money for us, but it did create traction and allowed us to go up in rank in the Shopify App Store. Second, and most important, is really good product. We focused on building the best product we could. We focused on what do merchants want, let's give it to them, and more. And that is still our focus. This is the most important thing about any kind of product-led growth. You want to make sure you deliver on your promise to be a really good product. Otherwise, third thing is support and reviews. Super important on Shopify, and I'm guessing any kind of marketplace, is reviews. It really helps you get to new people, rank higher in search results, etc., etc. And the best way to generate good reviews is to provide amazing support. And again, this is still something we really focus on. We want to be there for our customers 24/7. In the beginning, it wasn't me and Eric answering Facebook live chat that we embedded in the app whenever we could, like whenever we were awake, and asking for reviews at the end. Basically, that's it. And lastly, we did a lot of SEO and ASO. ASO as in App Store Listing Optimization, SEO, Search Engine Optimization. App Store Listing, App Store Search Optimization. That's what I wanted to say. So we did a lot of optimization on our Shopify App Store listing to make sure to rank as high as possible in the keywords that we wanted, which were in the beginning thank you page. Now it's more like upsell, cross-sell, all of these kind of words. And SEO, we created a website on Wix and we started blogging, and it took a year or two for this to really start picking up, to really start getting traction to the website. And it wasn't really measurable at first, but I do think a lot of the guest posting that we did in the beginning generated more awareness about us and people heard about us through there. SEO is a long-term project, and if you want to have a good SEO website, you need to start from the beginning, start before you even launch, basically. So this was the beginning. And then when we started growing, honestly, a lot of the tactics stayed the same. A lot of them changed throughout the years. But I think the main things that helped us really grow were, again, great product. You have to have a good product. This has to be your focus if you are a product-based company. Otherwise, why would customers use you? Just be better than anyone. Whenever we see our competition do something that we're like, oh, this is really good, and we don't have that, we look at what they did and we try to think about how can we do this thing better than they did. So even if we are taking inspiration from the things that they do, we try to put our own twist to it and make it different and better so that we can always be unique and stay one step ahead. Second is support. Support, reviews, again, same thing, always focus on good support. Right now we have 24/7 support with a great support team. They do an amazing job. They are there for the customers whenever, wherever, and we like to go the extra mile. We don't only support our app. Sometimes the customers have bugs from different apps that are not integrating correctly with us. We would go the extra mile of talking to the customer support of the other product so that we can help them. We want them to have a good experience using the app and a good experience talking to our support team. Lastly is integrations. I think I've talked about it in a few different videos already, but basically product integrations. If you want to get access to new customers on the daily, make sure to integrate with complementary products preferably ones that are larger than you or about your size in your niche, and then make sure to do a lot of co-marketing and put each other in your dashboards so that you can actually get customers all the time. If you want to know more about some of the tactics that we actually used to grow the product and specifically about integrations and our mindset behind us, check out this video. It has all the info that you need, and this is what YouTube thinks you should watch. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.